in Tripoli.
Over the weekend in Afghanistan, a Taliban suicide bomber drove a vehicle packed with explosives into an armoured NATO bus. It was just the latest in a series of hundreds of such attacks the world has witnessed in recent years. The attack killed 17 people. It also killed a suicide bomber too, of course. And while not many tears will be shed over that, the question which puzzles most people, certainly those not affiliated to the Taliban, is what on earth possesses anyone to murder while deliberately blowing themselves up in the process? Well, Professor Arie BBC from Maryland University in the US is one of the world's leading experts on the psychology of terrorism. I asked him what kind of person becomes a terrorist.
Any kind of person. There is no one personality profile, and under the appropriate circumstances, virtually anybody can become a terrorist.
Anyone at all? You, for example, or me?
Even you or me, yes, under the appropriate circumstances, which are very different from us sitting here and looking at terrorism from a distance.
What are the appropriate circumstances then?
One major circumstance is a loss of significance, experience of humiliation, experience of insignificance.
We've all suffered that, though.
We've all suffered that to some extent, but I think we have avenues to restore significance by trying harder within the avenues that are afforded to us. In many cases, those avenues are not available to those who end up becoming terrorists, and then they are very vulnerable to come under the influence of a group that promises them significance should they join the group and abide by the group's dictates.
But there's a difference, isn't there, between being a terrorist and being a suicide bomber? Because if you're a terrorist, presumably you hope to survive and see the kind of world that your terrorism is all about. Whereas if you're a suicide bomber, you're opting out of the world, aren't you?
It is. There is a difference, but the difference is quantitative more than qualitative. In other words, a suicide bomber is a person who commits to the goal of restoration of significance to a degree that suppresses and inhibits all other pursuits. A person who is merely a terrorist has those other objectives: his career, his status in the group, support for his family, professional advancement, and so forth. So the commitment to the goal of significance is not as complete and as utter.
So it's a quest for esteem or self-esteem.
It is. It's a quest.
But that self-esteem will be very fleeting if you are a successful suicide bomber, won't it?
It would be very fleeting, but I think at the time that you're pursuing that particular activity, you feel that you'll be remembered forever. Your name will be engraved in the collective memory of your group for generations, if not for eternity. So at that point in time, you feel you're doing the right thing. You're doing the utmost that can be done in order to advance your status and your esteem.
So posterity is important.
Posterity is important.
Is religion then important? Because you must presumably believe that there is some sort of afterlife. Otherwise, it's very nihilistic, isn't it, just to blow yourself up for 10 minutes of fame?
Religion can be important, as can any other violence-justifying ideology. The ideology could be ethno-nationalist, it could be socialist, it could be communist. The idea is that when a person joins a group and feels that his primary identity is the group identity, then his personal demise doesn't mean that this is his or her end, because the group continues.
Are there examples of people who've been suicide bombers and have not done it from some sort of religious cause?
Yes.
For socialism, or for example?
Well, I can think of the Japanese kamikaze who do it for national honor. These were people who did not expect any afterlife or perks that go with the 72 virgins and so forth, yet they committed suicide willingly in order to avoid the dishonor that would have come with a refusal of the mission.
Having established the makeup of a terrorist and of a suicide bomber, what lessons can we learn? Are we dealing with them properly?
Well, our counterterrorism activities have two layers. One is the tactical, kinetic layer, going after them with military force, with police, with intelligence. That's limited in scope. That's the here and now. It's absolutely essential because we want to defend ourselves, but it doesn't have the long-term strategic objective. It doesn't accomplish that. The long-term strategic objective is what goes under the popular name of the battle for hearts and minds, and that is a long-term project. That means we've got to address the ideology, we've got to address the circumstances that produce the loss of significance, and that has to occur at the level of education, at the level of community efforts, at the level of foreign policy. It's a very complicated and long-term
So give
endeavor.
people a sense of self-worth, of self-esteem, that they are valued in society and that there is a reason for hanging around in this world.
Exactly right.
That's Professor Arie Kluglansky from Maryland University.
You're listening to the BBC, The World.